Okay, we can go ahead and begin. Good afternoon, to everyone. Let us take attendance very quick. Good afternoon to the ones on Zoom as well. We will start here very shortly. Very good. Okay, are we all signed in? Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and have the session. I can get you in manually after. Okay. Did I miss it? No, that's fine. I can take care of you after. Okay, so a few things to talk about before we begin our lecture. Obviously, the homepage has been changed, and as I said, we're gonna uh, make a schedule, and that schedule highlights everything that we have throughout the semester. So once you get to the homepage and you click on this course schedule, it should take you to the schedule for our semester, and it should highlight everything that we have done so far and moving forward. Okay, so one thing to know is that the schedule could change, and sometimes what could happen is that we could take a week on a chapter rather than just one given lecture. Okay, so that is to be expected. For the assignment dates and final exams specifically, they will not change. So we will try as best to kind of have those dates as firm as possible. If they change, then you will be notified. So for exam one, yeah. Was that you say is assignment two study 22? You said what again? Assignment two is study 22, but the exam is study 19. Yeah. What's the issue with that? Oh, just say, never mind. Yeah. So I think this February 22 falls on a Sunday. And the exam really has nothing to do with the assignments. The assignments are going to be released way ahead. So for example, assignment just like the duration that I gave for assignment one will be applied for assignment two. Okay, they're just made up, broken in a way where they are broken in a way for throughout the semester. Okay, so exam one will be online. Okay, a lot of you guys voted. We had a vote like by raise of hands, and a lot preferred online. So for exam one, that is going to be online, and that is going to fall on February the 19th. Okay, so there will be no lecture. You will just take the exam. whenever it opens and whenever it closes, just try to follow the dates. I'll try to have an announcement about that when it opens up and when it closes, the type of questions. And it's going to cover everything from chapter 1 to chapter 6. Okay, so we wrap up chapter 6, then we take the exam. So currently we're in chapter 3. We finished chapter 2 about encryption, and chapter 3 is about access control. We spoke about authentications so far. And what we have left is, obviously this highlights everything, spring break, assignments. There's going to be a bonus assignment as well, and final exam time. Okay, any questions so far? Any concerns? Okay, that is good. So in the modules, obviously we're in week 4, and we're still in chapter 3 for access control. Today we're going to do a lab, and this lab is going to be practical, obviously hands-on about John the Ripper, and more on passwords. We know that there is passwords, obviously is a form of authentication, and we know that there is types of password attacks and that do exist. So we're going to do one password attack today, a demonstration of that. So one thing for all of you is that you are going to need a VirtualBox sooner or later. So if you have not installed VirtualBox or UTM or VMware, you need to install that right away. And also for Kali Linux, that's what you're going to need to complete your assignment. So make sure that you have those installed, as we will use those today in the lab. Okay, so let me switch to the laptop here, because we're going to do the lab from here, and we can get started. So just give me one moment. I'm going to switch the Zoom over. So just a quick recap of obviously chapter 3, very quick before we dive into the lab. We know that this chapter is specifically about user authentication, and kind of the bigger umbrella of that would be access control. And what we said with access control is basically we are trying to have a two-step process to identify the user. And when the user is identified, the identification step is presenting something to the security system that we have, and the security system will kind of verify the information that is given to that given user. And we said the information that is given could be anything like a token, credentials, and much more. So we talked about the kind of the given model, the architecture model, and how a user he starts at the physical, or you can say the initial phase as an RA, and then becomes a subscriber or a claimant. And then obviously those are going to be used to get access to the specific system, and then there's a verifier on the other hand, on the other side. We talked about risk assessment, and there's kind of like assurance level, potential, and areas of risk. And then obviously we talked about the different kind of level of impacts. We talked about password authentication, password cracking. So this is a really good lab. It's going to demonstrate for you, and kind of, I hope by the end of this lab, you should have an idea of what password cracking is, passwords in terms of a user ID and credentials for users to be used as a sort of authentication, and using learning a new tool, obviously John the Ripper, right? So that is the goal. So I try to include labs as much as I can with the given material, so that you can you can have this cool hands-on experience. I'm going to cover that again today with the salting. Okay, so let us go ahead and begin. Obviously, the objectives of the lab is to understand password security, right? And password security comes in multiple forms, right? We want to make sure that our passwords are secure, such that we have some sort of levels, or you can say passwords policies that are attained, or you can say that are embedded by maybe organizations or admins for password security. We want to understand the type of attacks. That is going to be very important, and understand what attackers how attackers would react to stronger passwords. And we're going to do that demonstration as well. So the idea is that how do we know a password is actually very safe, right? And we're going to understand the concept of this today when we do the lab, such that we'll create users and we'll assign passwords to those given users. Okay. So this given image right here highlights kind of like we can say concatenated given keywords that can be used as for a password. And you might think that something like security and then adding a number to it is very secure. And that is not the case. The case is that with data leaks, with the advancement of password attacks, these given keywords are going to be kind of embedded in that list for password cracking. And we're going to see those today. Okay. So they're common and predictable. They're tried first by attackers, and they're vulnerable to dictionary attack. They can be also cracked by brute force. So if you add like a character to a given keyword, that really does not really much help you. So worst passwords of 2026, I pulled kind of a list to showcase that for you guys. And when we do the demonstration, the RockU file that we have, once we open the RockU file, which is obviously the big overview is that John the Ripper is a tool, right, for password cracking. And Kali Linux delivers that tool for us. So they are in charge of taking care in terms of updates for the tool. So they usually update it with those given passwords. And the RockU is a given file that is with John the Ripper that has a list of passwords, right? And these list of passwords could be something like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see these are kind of the worst passwords to use. So obviously, none of us should be using any of these passwords, but a lot do, right? So a lot would just put like 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we do something like this in the lab today, we're going to see how vulnerable the password that we assign and how easy it can be cracked. So password cracking is obviously going to be just like a set of techniques to recover a password from computer systems. So those techniques are used by the attackers to gain unauthorized access to a vulnerable system. And we know there's ways we can kind of have and make our system more robust. So most of these techniques are successful due to the lack of diversity in the character set in the given passwords. So some popular methods obviously is going to be dictionary attack. And dictionary attack is just going to have a list of attacks or a list of given passwords that are being used. And we just try those passwords. Rainbow table attack is kind of similar to dictionary attack. What they do is that they have a list of passwords, they generate the hashes for them, and they do a hash comparison against the hashes that are stored in the given system. Because we know that passwords are not stored in plain text, they're stored with hashes, right? So in the tools, we have John the Ripper, Hydra, Crunch as well. There's Cain and Abel for Windows. And John the Ripper is also available for Windows, okay? So we could have done the lab. Since I'm a Windows user, I could just download John the Ripper and apply it. But here, the cool idea is that we're using a VMware, such as Kali Linux. So dictionary attack tries common words and known passwords, and it uses the word, kind of a password list from password that are leaks. And then it is fast against simple word-based passwords. Okay, so how do we rise the complexity of attackers attacking our system? Is to obviously modify the password to add kind of a diverse range of character sets in the given password. Brute force attack will try every possible combination, character combination. It is very slow for long and complex password. It takes time, but it is guaranteed to work eventually if no limit exists. And how do we assign these limits? Does anyone know? We covered that in the last lecture. How do we limitize attackers from kind of trying different passwords using brute force attacks? Yeah, that's correct. So we limit the number of attempts that users, given attackers, would try on the given system to attack the given system. Okay. Salt, someone mentioned salt, and salt is going to be good. Obviously, salt in terms of storing the given passwords, because we know that a given hash that is generated for a given word will always generate kind of the same hash. So we know that when we use multiple passwords, we add salt to those to kind of have a combination with the existing hash and that diverse character set. Rainbow table attack uses pre-computed hashes instead of guessing live. So it's extremely fast. The passwords are unsalted, and it is largely defeated by proper salting. So we talked about this brute force attacks, and we know that it tries every possible combination, and 81% of that of breaches involving weak or stolen passwords, and this is from Verizon. And we know dictionary attack tries a list of common words. Okay, so one type of obviously of you can say password cracking is phishing, not using password cracking techniques or tools. And we know that phishing is a common type of attack that requires really no kind of actual practical or hands-on skills, just a little technical knowledge, and that is just to have the given users to trust us, right? And we pose or kind of like make ourselves as kind of a real credential or a real a given organization to steal those sensitive informations. And the way they deploy, obviously, is phishing is by emails, malicious links. So you might get an email of like there's a job opportunity and it pays really well, and you click on that. So phishing is one way we can kind of use for password attacking, which users use. So to prevent that, we obviously verify the sender, source, and email contact with the IT team. So you can do that if you're looking for an organization. And sometimes us as staff do that is when we get an email that we're not sure of, we just forward it to staff, okay, the IT team. So social engineering obviously has multiple tactics that fall under it, and they will always try to manipulate kind of human emotions to trick the users. So it uses scare tactics, urgent requests, fake identities. Hey, react to this very quick, or a fake identity like maybe your supervisor or manager. And then malware is obviously it could be starts as a phishing technique where you download a file. That file is malicious software that steals or damages kind of your given system. So, and then we can use key logging or keystrokes to capture those given passwords. And examples of those are virusware, spyware, ransomware, and Trojan horses. So this is a really good video. It's like a 2-minute video of a social engineering example. Let us try to play that video because it is really good. We usually have an issue with the sound when I connect to we can find out. I'm not sure why it's not playing. It's 2 minutes. Yeah, this video right here.
Sometimes the way you see an idea in your mind.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically, what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Obviously, this is one type of phishing is phone solicitation. That is what it's
Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna spoof from your number, so it's gonna look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30
At
seconds,
gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Get to add your daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes. How would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure pin through a text message. Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're going to have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yeah.
So that is just something to share with when it comes to phishing. We might not ourselves fall to something like this, but this could happen to any of us. So this is just to demonstrate how social engineering can be used. Yes.
So she managed to even fake me, and they didn't check it. Like, do they check on later, or do they do it at the same time?
Well, obviously.
Just lie the social security number every single time.
So the idea is obviously in given systems where when you call for example Bank of America and they ask for your social security number, you would expect them they would match it right to your user account. But in just given here in this exhibit is exact video, maybe she is making a newer account because I think she's adding an account here to kind of have access to the original account that there was there. So she was added as a wife kind of account that she wasn't like kind of added as part of a user, but you would expect that actual given companies, they would compare their social security number with the information that is saved.
So can't they just every time I make a new account with a new company, have a different social security number and I just lie every single time? Everything has settings from different identities.
No, I mean for the first time creation, that will not be possible. They will verify the social, obviously. But in this given case, what she did is that she already had an account set up, like her husband account, right? And somehow she led him to kind of like add her to the account somehow. So they should have verified it, right? But the idea is that even without the social or being added to the account, he gave the email address. The email address itself shouldn't be given at the first place. Okay.
So we have people, this is on the phone, but how is a file being?
On email, it could be you're getting sent an email, right? And then you're asked to kind of like accept or sign a given document, something that is related where you are logging into your credentials or maybe downloading a file, right? And that file could be malicious. So for example, if you get sent out a link and you have to maybe like upload a file and that file system or that given domain looks exactly identical to what you use. So you do upload the file or you log in with your credentials. Those credentials are stored.
Second one, to share with now. You need to call admin of Cyber 2025.
Mhm.
Can you look it up?
Yeah, what is it called?
Admin of Cyber, they,
Admin?
yeah, admin
Advent.
of Cyber,
Cipher or cyber?
Cyber,
Cyber.
2025, they quote. Day 12.
Oh, day 12? Okay.
And go to 5 minutes and 55 seconds. The first video is,
Oh, the first video. This one?
no,
That one, the 21? What is the idea of the video?
show, fishing,
Okay. I mean, it's going to be a little bit longer to play a video like that. The idea is that I just want to demonstrate.
yeah, that's why I told you about that second one.
Oh, the second one. Okay, okay, sorry. That's why I was like wondering. Fuck.
Want to break into cyber?
So minute 5 something?
Minutes and five.
Okay.
It's out of the Wareville email threat inspector. Let me go ahead and go back here and click on check right here. I have access to the Wareville email threat inspector. Now on the left side right here, we have looks like we have 6 emails to go through and determine whether or not they're legitimate or phishing emails. So let's go ahead and click on this.
Okay. So
We wanted them, even if I PayPal.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. We have in the slide that we had here, one of those is from PayPal. So it looks something like this.
Yeah. The way you show it's like more in depth.
More in depth.
Like, yeah, you sort of like,
I-
this is a new trace of email, it's on my Gmail, it show official email, but if you look down in the detail, it's
Yeah, exactly. That's what they tend to do. So like the official look without the official look without inspection looks something that is very real. But when you dive into the specific details, you can kind of spot it out. Okay, so I can link that video to our modules and for the other students that want to check it out, right? Okay, so dictionary attack, here's this given figure, is that we are trying these given passwords across the given system. And obviously, if the password is crackable, depending on the complexity of the password, we can crack the password, okay? So here we have an attacker. Usually they would get a list of passwords from maybe a leaked something, a kind of file or a data breach. And they try these given passwords against this given credential, actual user credential, and they can attack the given system. Okay, so we will try, today our lab is going to be about John the Ripper, and it's going to be included in Unix and Mac OS systems, I think. It detects those on Unix and Mac OS system. I'm not sure if it's, how many Mac users do we have here? Can you check if you have John the Ripper installed, or you have to install it yourself?
No.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let's go a little bit to Kali, right? And there's 2 given commands that I want to showcase here, and they're going to be very important for us to kind of lead into the lab, right? So I have my hypervisor here, and one thing that you can do when you download Kali Linux, and this is very good, that you can, for obviously the first time I have installed it, I downloaded it using an installer image because I want to demonstrate the architecture on a step-by-step how to download Kali. If you haven't downloaded it yet and you're going to download it soon, what you can do is you can download the virtual box. And the virtual box kind of comes already preloaded. So such that when you load it into the virtual box manager, it would just load up Kali. You don't have to kind of do all the setup process that I have demonstrated in the video. So that's just a quick way you can kind of load Kali Linux into the virtual box manager. You can also modify the settings, and the settings you can modify them similarly to the typical or traditional approach. Just that the traditional approach has something that you can do with encryption. Okay, so we're gonna start Kali, right? And the first kind of given command is /etc/shadow. This shows all the given kind of user IDs and passwords that we have. Okay, and obviously we know that passwords are not stored in plain text. They're going to be stored in given hashes. Okay, so if you do the virtual box kind of here with the virtual machine, not at installer images, your default password should be Kali. And I think it mentions that, yeah, that's your user credentials. So that is going to be important for you to log in. Okay, so we're going to open a terminal here, and one way to check and verify who you are, you can you just type in "who am I," and it lets you know what your given user is. You can also do kind of root, kind of get access to the root, but we are not going to do that because what you can do is just you can do sudo. Okay, so the first command that we, if we go back to it such that we can showcase that, is that we're going to use cat, and cat is like I think cat command in Linux. It is used to kind of view files and concatenate the given files that we have. Yeah, just way to read files. Okay, so one thing to do is if we do showcase that, what we have here is cat /etc/shadow. And this is usually where the shadow file contains, you're going to get a permission denied. And the reason for that is that, and we're going to cover this in the next chapter that we have, is that each given account has user privileges, right? And the user privileges allows you to view certain files. So if we do sudo /etc, and then you have to enter the password for Kali. Should view, oh, did we try cats? Oh, we have not did cats, so ls, and we're going to okay, so this is what I wanted to demonstrate. And the first thing to look for is that all these here are user accounts. I have not created these, right? It is just provided by the Linux distribution OS. But one thing to note here is that we have Kali here, and the password for Kali, which is Kali as provided by Kali, is not stored in actual as written as Kali. It is stored as a hash function, right? And the hash function is everything from this point till the number 3 that we have. Okay, so you see those given accounts don't have passwords, and they have like an explanation or kind of a given mark here to showcase that there's no given passwords for those. If we do cat /etc/passw sudo, and I think you don't need sudo for this command, tc and as W. This given file kind of stores as well as that there's no password stored in this file. This only contains the user account information. So it does not store the actual hash functions. It just stores the given user here that we have, where it's exactly stored, and that is it. Okay, so we know what hash functions are. Basically, there's going to be multiple algorithms that are made of hashes, like we have SHA, MD5. We covered a few unique ones that are being used now in the last given lecture. It's basically a mathematical formula that can turn the data, the plain text, into something that is fixed length string, and that is called the hash value. Okay. The hash value or the given message that we have is always the same side regardless of the input data size that we have. So you see that we can have specific inputs like fox, the red fox runs across the ice. It will generate the same length of the hash function that we have, or the hash sum. Obviously, this could change by using a different hash. You can say a hash key. Maybe we can use like SHA-512. They have, I think, 168, and maybe other different ones. Okay. So some of the key properties for hash functions is that every input, no matter the size, it will turn into a fixed length output. So whether it's 160 or 512 bits. So hi will turn into a hash value. Hello world will turn into a hash value as well. Okay, so to determine it, their deterministic kind of is that the same input will always produce the same hash value. And one idea, or you can say characteristic of using hashing, is for compression. That we reduce the large data sets into something that is smaller, that is fixed value. Okay. Why do we use hash functions? Obviously, it's faster lookup, so faster to verify the data or to find the given data that we have. Okay. And we know that and hashing is used obviously in various computer science fields like cyber security, data storage, and even blockchaining. Okay. And we know that we use salts, and salt is basically we add to the password, and it's kind of like a unique number similar to a hash, maybe a smaller number of bits that makes the hash more unique, because we know that the given word that we have as an input such that we generate it will produce the same hash for us. Okay, so finally we store the hash and the salt together. So obviously hashing must be fast and compute and practical for real use. It has to be collision resistant, so it should not produce the same hash for different inputs. That's why we use salts. And it has to be unpredictable. So it's going to be very hard such that is to reverse or guess the input from the hash. So it is a one-way and highly random. And we know that hashing can be used for various things. It can be used obviously for digital signing. So we ensure those documents or software are authentic by creating unique hashes for them that are tied to the sender identity. Or we can do it for message authentication. And one way of that is to verify the integrity, the authenticity of the message. When we said that we generate a hash, and we talked about that one encryption, such that we compare the hashes against each other and we can see if the message has been altered or not. Now, obviously, as we've shown here for password security, hashes are stored. They kind of replace the given passwords and store them in the system. And encryption, obviously used with encryption algorithms, and they can be used together. So like we can use encryption and message authentication codes, or encryption with hashes depending on the use of it. Okay. So again, about salting, really, we have the given password that is provided by the client, the salt, and that is going to generate something that is a hash plus the salt. And that is going to be for us to store the passwords, right? And the same idea happens when at the identification phase, is that when we verify a system, we kind of cross-check the salt ID, obviously the given index for the user with the salt and the hash that we have. And here's just another example that we have really the same. We have a given password here, and that could be anything. We have a hash function, and we add salt to it, so it generates something that is unique. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a user in Linux. And I think in the next upcoming lectures, I'll have specific lectures dedicated for Linux OS, right? Things that we can do with Linux. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to do a user such that we can crack the password of the user. So we're going to create a user ID and we're going to create a password that goes with that. So we're going to need to use sudo for root, because if we do user add, if we do user add Ali. So, okay, so one thing to look out for is when you're in Kali and you type a given command, and you see it turns from white kind of to blue, that means it is accepted by the given system, right? If we type something like this, it would not work. So user add Ali here we have, and it would not allow us. That is permission denied because we're not the root access. So we do sudo and user add. Okay, so it's going to create a user for us, right? And that is one way. So what we can do is now we can verify if our user has been stored, right, by Kali. So we use the same command here. And just if you click the up arrow on Kali or any given kind of command lines, whether it's Windows, Mac, it will take you back to the command that you have used. So here we have our account that we have made, or user, you could say, and we don't have a password that is set for it. Obviously, the user pass WD is not going to show you the passwords. But if we do the shadow, we still don't have a hash for our password, right? We need to create a given password for the account, right? So that is what we need to do. So we will try to kind of log into our account. So if you try to log into the account here, sudo Ali, you will be asked to give a password, and we don't have a password set up. So we kind of terminate that given command. And then for us to create a password is that we do sudo pass WD. So sudo pass WD. And for my given user, which is Ali, it's going to ask us to create a password, right? And this is kind of where the tactic comes in from a defensive state, right? Or kind of given an initial state of the user. I'm just gonna put a simple password. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna ask you to confirm it. And password has been updated successfully. If we go back to etc/shadow, and this is just like etc is kind of a directory here, and shadow is a file that we have that stores everything for us. You can see that we have generated a hash function for the password that I have put in. Okay, so far we have not done any kind of using John the Ripper yet. Okay. And then what you can do is you can do su Ali this time now, and once you put your password, you can log into the actual system. Okay, that is not needed for us to do. So the next step obviously is going to be we showed the hashes where they're stored, and we want to have that file, the shadow file, to be on our home directory, to kind of be on our desktop. Okay, so we know that password in Linux are stored in hashes, and they're stored in the shadow file that we have. Okay, so we need to kind of move that file over, or kind of like have a copy of it, or redirect it in a way. So we do the following command, which is sudo cat, and it's going to be it's going to be the same /etc/shadow that we have, and then we're going to use a greater than sign, and then we are going to just give a new name, because we're basically just copying the shadow file to something that is new. So you can name the file anything. It could be hash.txt. Okay, so now if we do ls to find our current files that we have, you can see that we have a copy of Shadow in our home directory. Okay, if you want to know where you're at in the given Linux in terms of where you're at in the given directory, you can do dwd. So right now we're in home/Kali. Okay. So the next step is obviously is going to be to is we're going to need the rockq.txt file, right? And the rockq.txt file has all the passwords that we want to use. So we created an account or a user ID, and we had a password for it. We want to crack it now. So we want to crack the user, which is Ali. So how do we crack it? We have to use the rockq file. And basically, I'm going to demonstrate that right now. And it showcases all the given passwords that we have, right? So we know that rockq.txt is a common weak password list, and it's copied from system word list to the home directory. And this is what we're going to do. Okay? So we're going to do sudo cp/user. So sudo cp is to copy it, right? And here what we have /user, and we can do /user/share, and I don't remember the file where it's stored off the top of my head. So word lists. Okay. And that is going to be rockq. Okay, we have that, and it's kind of a GZ is kind of a compression zipped file for the Linux OS. And what we want to copy it to is the home/Kali, right? So this is where we want to copy the file to. So if we do ls again, we have the rockq file now in our home directory. Now we need to unzip it. So I think the command for that is going to be gunzip. There's a command that I don't remember on top of my head in Linux. Whatever kind of basically every given functional command, there's like a line that you can put, and it gives you kind of like the given details for the commands, how to apply them. Like, for example, we use gunzip, and they could have like other commands that are in it. So there's an actual command that kind of gives you like a dictionary of the given tool. Or you can use Google, right? How do I copy a file in Linux? How do I do that? Ask AI. So that is completely up to you. So we need to do gunzip to decompress the file. And we have rockq.gz. Took a minute. Okay, we do ls. If we do, well, obviously we need to verify that John is included. So I think we can do John. And you can see, if you see something like this, John the Ripper with the specific version that we have, that means we have John the Ripper. Sometimes you need to do sudo update, something like that, where you can kind of update the system, because those need to be updated from time to time. I think it's update system and Linux. Sudo apt update or upgrade. So you might need to do something like that before you can use John the Ripper to make sure that all the packages or just everything is updated. It should be already included, right? So if you click here, and it shows you all the tools that comes with Kali Linux, and should be somewhere here. Have a lot of tools. But it is included part of Kali, so you don't need to install it. If you're working on Ubuntu, then you need to install that package. So we know that cat kind of reads the file that we have. So if we do cat rockq.txt, we can open the file that we have, and it will run nonstop because that is the list of passwords that we have in the given file. Okay, so we need to kind of find a way, we can just view maybe the top 20 or the top 10 of given passwords. So this is, for us to stop it, you can just do Control C. And if we do this, and this kind of line separator, you can say, I'm not sure what it's called exactly. And I think it's called head minus 20 or minus 10. This is viewing the first 20 lines or the first 5 lines, first 10 lines. So if we do something that looks like this, it showcases that, right? And this is updated, I think, more recently than the one I have showcased in the slides for the top 50 worst passwords. But you can see that the idea is that some of these passwords are included in there. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is also included in there. Okay. So now we have everything. We are ready to kind of apply the tool or the technique that we have to crack the user ID. Okay. To crack the user, meaning cracking the password of that. Okay, so obviously here, this command is what we're going to use. Sudo that we have is to kind of run the command as root. John is the cracking tool that we have. Format CR read by T specifies the Linux hash function. Okay, so what attackers would do is they would try different hash functions. Okay, for each given user. The hash.txt contains all this the stolen password hashes. You can say. And we know that we copied the hashes for the given system. And wordless equals rockq.txt supplies password guesses. Okay, those are the password guesses that we have. So we are matching the hashes to reveal the original password that we have. So let us apply that command real quick. So sudo John, and that is going to be dot format and crypt space. We need to provide the file. So remember what the file is stored. I have stored it as hash.txt. And then we have minus word list. We have to supply the word list. Here. And it goes /home/Kali. And I have it named as the rock here. So it takes its time to crack, right? It's not going to be very quick. It just really depends on the password that we have, the complexity of the password. So sometimes it gets left on to be ran for higher than 10 minutes, an hour. It could be days for it to run. And we'll try to crack all the systems, all the passwords that we have. So we have kind of already 2 users. We have Kali, our actual user, and we have the user Ali that we have made. So basically what it's doing is just kind of like cross comparison, right? And the technique for John the Ripper is that the word list that we have with RockQ basically is used, and we generate the hash function such that we compare it with the hash function that we have. And there's a way such that these given techniques sometimes is, like, for example, if you're using 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stored. It will do a kind of a combination. So it combines. First, it goes ahead and tries. If it catches something, then it would kind of use it as a combination, and that will get repeated until the password gets cracked. Okay. Should crack it right away. I mean, the password is very easy. It's not something that is complex, because it should result in something that looks like this: the password and the user that we have. Hmm. And here has all the hash, you can say algorithms for different type of functions. And you can apply to load all of them, like MD5 crypts, any of those, right? Maybe we can try to load. Run the command, but load it with run it it should be able to crack it very quickly with this given hash function. So here, what I end up doing is I end up creating another user. And if it cracks it, we can do that to kind of demonstrate for you. Is that if we create another user add Bob, user sudo pass, WD Bob, and then we have something that is kind of very complex. We put like maybe UCF at hello, add something that has a lot of characters, numbers, and a bunch of different things. It will take longer for it to kind of crack. So it could maybe take days, could be taking hours. So really, to defeat dictionary attacks is to make the complexity of the password that we assign higher, a higher rank of complexity. So after you create another user, you would want to copy or redirect the shadow file again, so to update it, because we created another user. So we need to have the updated hash value for that user. If you forgot your Kali password, and this is something that happened with me, is your best bet is to delete it, remove it from the VirtualBox manager, and then reinstall it again. So the password complexity affects, we know, the crack time. It has kind of a correlation with each other. Is that if we use simple passwords, it is shown, it is really cracked in seconds. And when I tried this before in the lecture, I cracked it very quickly. I'm not sure why it's taking longer than expected. Dictionary-based passwords, like if we have a word and number, that can be also cracked in a minute, like password 1 or hello 1. Okay. So mixed case where we have like plus numbers, is that can take hours or days. If we have long password with symbols, that can take may take years. Okay, and so the length matters more than the complexity alone, right? So if we have a longer kind of a longer length, then we'll have to kind of try different combinations to crack the password. So really, to defeat dictionary attacks is to keep the password long and diverse. Set up multi-factor authentication using a hardware security token. So sometimes I think with Windows, they have something like this where you embed or kind of store physical kind of maybe a given port to the device to allow you access. Limiting the number of attempts for password kind of like identification or signing in for your credentials. And then also you have kind of CAPTCHAs, which we all hate, or security questions that have to be answered from time to time. So storing password as hashes and not in plain text, and we've seen how systems would store these hashes. And this is kind of everywhere, not just in Linux. Wondering if we stop it here and we do something that is very simple. I'm gonna add name pop. And we give it a password for pop command is sudo passwd. I'm gonna put an easier password, maybe something that. Okay. Then we need to move the new file that we have. Okay. So we have Bob here. Okay, that is good. And then can go ahead and we already have the lock.qt file. We can just go ahead and try to crack again. Be able to crack it very quick. Okay, so I mean, the idea is really there. Is that we applied a newer technique for password cracking using John the Ripper. Really not sure why it's not cracking it very quick, or maybe I'm using a different kind of device. But the idea is that once you make a complex password, it will take you longer than expected to crack time-wise. So when you raise the complexity, when you put in a complex password, it raises the complexity to crack the password. And then once you put something that is very easy, you would be able to crack the password. It would give you your given password and the user ID. Okay, so hopefully the lab was kind of like kind of helped you grasp the idea about passwords, hashing, how to use the technique that we have, a little bit of Linux commands that we applied. And I'm gonna stay for a little bit, let it run. But for the ones that are here, the ones on Zoom, you guys are free to go. Your class is dismissed, and I will see you all on Thursday. Okay. All right, Andrew. Have a good one. All right, Christopher, take care.